Well, it's a first for the Morgan Library Museum, an exhibition devoted exclusively to the early black and white drawings of Roy Lichtenstein, a key figure in the world of pop art. Here today to tell us about this exciting new exhibit is Isabelle Dervaux. I'm sorry, Isabelle, got that wrong. The curator of the modern and contemporary drawings at the Morgan. So welcome aboard. This is not just a first for the museum. This is the first time that these many works of Lichtenstein have been assembled in one place, the early black and white works, correct?
Yes, exactly. This is a very particular group of works that he did in the early 1960s. He did about 50 of those drawings, and there are 45 of them in the exhibition for the first time brought together.
Was this when he was first beginning to use comics and industrial art as a template for what he wanted to do?
Exactly. This in the early 60s is the beginning of pop art, and that's when he starts indeed using drawing inspiration from commercial imagery such as comic books or advertisements.
Sure. Let's take a look at some of the pictures. We have several of them here that are in the exhibit. How many are there total in the exhibit?
There are about 50 works in the exhibition.
50 works, and these are some of the early works. And it's difficult for me looking at this to see where artistry has come in. This does look like looking at a comic book. So what are we learning from these?
Well, in this case, for instance, if you look at the baked potato, or here's an image from a comic book, there is a whole process of selection first when Lichtenstein looks for these images, and then he manipulates them and transforms them. He's really fascinated by those graphic shorthands that commercial draftsmen use, and so he finds in commercial drawings a directness, a simplicity that he explores to give a new energy, if you want, to art.
Was it in these that he began using that pixelating technique?
Yes, exactly.
To make the picture?
He started in 1961 to reproduce those dot patterns from printing processes.
But you know, he's most famous, of course, for his brightly colored work that would follow later. So how did this lay the foundation for that?
Yes, exactly. They're about at the same time. He was doing paintings and drawings at the same time. In the drawings, the beauty is that you see more the hand of the artist.
Why is he considered such an icon of pop art?
Well, he was one of the first and was the most important to revolutionize art by drawing inspiration from imagery from popular culture, especially consumer culture, which was so prevalent in America after the war.
How was it received back in the 60s?
It was actually interesting. The critics and curators were outraged, many of them, but the public at large and some of the collectors actually liked it. Here was an art that they could understand. You see a hot dog, a baked potato. This was an everyday item that they could relate to. It
was also thoroughly anti-establishment. And the 60s were thoroughly anti-establishment. Every establishment was being challenged. You know, these weren't just staid old photographs or pieces of art. You know, they were quite original and quite simple in the beginning.
Yeah, very radical if you think of the way they challenged what people thought a drawing was or a painting.
What do his paintings sell for now?
Now, well, they sold recently in the over $30 million for some of those paintings.
Like Warhol. Warhol's selling.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Warhol and Lichtenstein are the two major figures of pop art.
What made you decide to sort of juxtapose this pop art exhibit against some of those classical architecture and decor in the country in your museum?
Well, actually, if you look at the drawings, you will see that they look very classical. And the way actually he alters the compositions of the comic book panel, for instance, make them look very traditional in composition. So I think the drawings look perfectly at home in the classical environment of the Morgan.
Is he as popular today as he ever has been?
Yes, he actually has. Once he started being popular with pop art in the 60s, and that came very soon when he had his first exhibition with Leo Castelli in 1962. Once he became famous, he basically has been famous ever since. There was no pop art has always been a movement that people in general have liked.
How much longer is this exhibit going to be on display at the Morgan?
The exhibition is on until January 2nd.
So we've got plenty of time to go there and check it out. All right. Well, thank you very much. One of a kind, first time ever. Thanks for coming in, Isabelle. Still ahead as we continue details on a special gala to celebrate French heritage. And you're so good with a smartphone, but not so good at cooking Thanksgiving dinner? Well, you can use your smartphone to cook up an amazing dinner now.
With Fios, the movies you buy for